Hello and welcome to Obsessive Audio. Eric here, and it looks like we're into a little bit of a guitar thing here on the channel. Today is something I think guitar players are really going to enjoy. You got to check this out. It's from DiBiQuadro. It's the JupiterXTC amp. This is the third amplifier like this that DiBiQuadro have released. They started off a while back with the Saturn LO, which was based on the Soldano SLO 100. And then they released the Mercury Rec, based on the Mezzaboogie rectifier. And now the JupiterXTC, of course, based on the Bogner Ecstasy. Now, all three of these amplifiers use the same proprietary circuit modeling technology, and it is circuit modeling on a component level, but what DiBiQuadro have said is they found a way to solve the circuit, to solve all the equations, without losing as much detail as you might on your typical amp sim. And I know for one, when I tried it out, I immediately heard a lot more response and detail. It was kind of shocking, to be honest. On top of that, what this enables is for the user to actually go into the circuits and change the components, change the values of the components. So you can change the resistors and the capacitors and the tubes and the way the tubes behave. And you can do that for the tone stack, the EQ, the different channels, the gain settings. It's really incredible. So these amps go really deep. I mean, you got a lot of controls on the front, but you've got a lot more control behind the scenes. And for instance, I took their Mercury Rec. I changed that into a bass amp. I tweaked the circuits, and they did give me some tips. You can find those on the forum on how to do that. And I got a great bass amp response. Now it's one of my favorite bass amps in the box, just by changing the circuit. Furthermore, for oversampling, you can oversample like crazy on all three of these amplifiers. You can go up to 8,192 times oversampling, should you dare, because that's a lot of calculation. But aliasing is not going to be an issue with these. As you can see here, this is based on the Bogner Ecstasy. This is a 3-channel amplifier. Up top here, we've got the green channel, and this is where your clean sounds reside, although it is capable of quite a bit of gain. Below that, you've got the blue channel. This is your mid to mid-high gain channel. It's capable of everything from a breakup to heavy metal, basically, hard rock. And then the red channel, which is your full-on, super hot, as much gain as you ever need, extreme metal, solos, you name it. Now, the blue channel has also a plexi mode, which is really cool. That gives you the sounds of the Marshall plexi amps. Really nice. So over here, each channel has its own separate gain, bass, mid, and treble tone controls, and volume output. Volume output does react to where it's set. It's not just a strict volume. If you crank that volume high, the amp's going to get a bit brighter and tighter. If you keep that volume lower, you're going to be getting a deeper, more throaty kind of sound with a bunch more low ends. So that's also in part a tone control. You've got master input and output. Now for the input, DiBiQuadro have said that there's no problem with cranking this up, even into the reds. So if you're doing something here and you just need more gain, you can go nuts with this, put it, all the way or whatever, and that is apparently fine. Output, self-explanatory, that is just a straight output level. Over here on the channels, each channel has a boost, which will just give you more gain, and also a pre-EQ. And as normal, B1 gives you a bit of a brighter sound, and B2 gives you an even further brighter sound. So the blue and the red channels both have this VM switch. That's for vintage circuit or modern circuit. Modern's it's just a bit more gain, a bit more saturated, maybe a bit more scooped. Vintage, a little bit more of a mid dynamics, I guess, maybe would be one way to put it. Now those are just the controls on the front panel. And let's take a quick look at behind the scenes and some of the different things that can be tweaked. First off, you've got the size. I'm not going to hit it right now, but if you're on a 4K monitor, this will make the plug-in a lot bigger, and you can toggle it back and forth between the two sizes. This is a tips button. This basically just displays the numerical value of each level. Load and save is for your presets. If you hit the tweak button, that's going to bring up your circuit, And here is where you can go through the different, each channel. Up top here, you could, the blue, the plexi, the red, the green channels. Each of them, you can see the diagrams down here. 3 gain stages, for instance, in the clean. Here's the first stage. Here's your tone stack with your equalizer. And the second and the third stage. Blue also has 3 stages. You see here's all the values for the capacitor, resistor, volume. You can change the load. You can change on the tubes. You can change the voltage. Very cool stuff. And over here is the nonlinear solver, and that is related to the tubes in the circuit. All these parameters here that you can adjust that'll affect how the tubes sound, how they saturate, how they dynamically respond. And if you find a setting for the tubes that you like, you can save that as a preset. When you're all done tweaking, you just hit done, and that gets rid of it. Similarly, you have a settings tab. Now, settings is mainly where you're going to be handling the oversampling. You notice here they've got 2 tabs here for the real-time oversampling. That's if you're playing it back or if you're recording and monitoring. And then offline, which of course refers to when you're rendering and building your final mixdown file. Now, for real-time, they say if you're recording and trying to monitor, you should probably put the oversampling rate at 1 times. And if you're playing it back and mixing, 4 times. 4 times works well on this system. That's what you're going to hear on the video for the examples. If you want to get into higher sampling rates, you may not want to do that in your DAW. So DiBiQuadro have included a separate offline rendering app. It's in the same folder as your plugin, and you can load up presets there and wave files and do it offline. These other controls have to do with the oversampling filters, infinite or finite impulse response, the slope of the filter, a lot of control. So anyway, I recommend you read the manual to this because there is a lot going on, but once you get to know it, it will be the same for all 3 of the amps that DiBiQuadro have released. And I should also mention that these amps are just the amps, so you got to use something else if you want cabinet simulation. So I've multed it out to different channels, and on each channel is a different DiBiQuadro power cabs. Power cabs is a nebula library that DiBiQuadro put out. It models the power amp stages, the speaker, the microphone. Let's have a look at them.
Too much power, too much glass, it's all too much, too much.
This one is the greenback, going through EL34s. Next channel, we've got a V30 and a Marshall 68 cabinet. Then I got a Heritage 30 and another V30. And the reason they're all sent to different channels, of course, is so you can blend them. And then what that does is it simulates as if you were in the studio and you had multiple microphones on a cabinet or on several different cabinets, and you can blend them, you can pan them, mix them together to change the tone because of the phase differences, rather than just relying on an EQ. Works great, sounds smooth. Let's take a listen. Really nice, clean jazz tone. Here's the amp. This goes to each of these power cabs. They're all blended. I found something I liked. Goes to the cab mix. And over here I've got different effects to choose from if I want. In this case I've got the lemon delay from Acoustica and a plate reverb from Physical Audio. Awesome sounding plate. So let's just play around with that channel 1 for a bit, see the different types of tones we can get her. So let's brighten it up. Let's use the switch to make it even brighter. Let's go even one more brighter than that. Back to normal. Let's try bass up, treble up, scoop out the mids. chorus, only mids. Let's try that. Let's go back to flat. So it can do really crystal cleans if you want it to. Sounds great. I love the switches there. When you're using a humbucker, for instance, you need brightness. You can get it with that switch. That's what I found really helpful for the clean sounds there. So let's do another example where we can see how much gain this first channel has. Here's a cool trick. This volume knob for the channel is part of the circuit, so you can change the sound depending on where it's set. Whereas if I wanted a bit of a beefier, more dynamic tone, take this volume down. So that's one way you fatten it up. If you want it a bit fatter, even just turn the treble down and listen to the mids come up and the bass. So as you can see, very versatile, and that's just the first channel. Let's take a look at the blue channel. So there it is with the gain all the way up, tone flat, volume right at 12 o'clock. However, you can see here there is this plexi. Let's listen to what that does. So you can hear that that's quite a bit of a different sound, not quite as much gain on there, but remember, we can crank this input up and get a lot more gain out of it, bringing the output down to compensate. Let's hear what that's given us. And we can further saturate it. You got to be careful here. If you pull the output, I'm going to start with it down most of the way. Further saturate it right there with the volume on the channel. not bad. Now let's go the other way. Let's go a bit higher gain by using the boost functions. Let's just level all these out. We'll use the boost. And let's try the modern voicing. So as you can hear there, that's quite a bit more gain already. And that's not really feeding it huge levels. We can further increase the input gain if we want even more. So you can see the blue channel can get pretty clean. You can have that plexi mode. You can also do quite a bit of saturation and gain, probably as much as you'd ever need. It already goes to 11. But for those of us that want to go to 15, 25, what about 143? Well, let's check out the red channel. JupiterXTC by DiBiQuadro. Amazing amplifier. Highly recommend you go and check it out. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. Make sure you like and subscribe and rock on. Let the guitar madness reign. See you next time on Obsessive Audio.